CloudDB, shaping your new normal.
Welcome everyone, wherever you are around the world, to the 2022 APEC OCI Days by Apaco UC. This is our first year having a dedicated OCI event, and it's our honor and privilege to run this event with the support of 15 Oracle user groups and jugs in the APAC region. Please remember to register to as many sessions you can. This way you will be able to have access to our replays until June 15, 2022. Basically, you can go to the agenda of the event, register to attend as many sessions you wanted, and they will populate your personal schedule in your attendee tab. And there, after 24 hours after the live sessions, you will find the replays to each session that you register to. I would like to say thanks again to our Oracle user groups and Java user groups that made this event possible, and also to our sponsors, the Oracle ACE community, the DevRel team, and your main sponsors, Oracle Corporation and CloudDB. Now for today's session by Fernando Simon. Please feel free to ask questions at any time by using the chat window in your right lower corner of the screen, and Fernando will be answering all your questions at the end of his presentation. If you have any technical issues or any problem during this session, please use the same chat window to let me know, and I will try to help you the best I can. Now, without any more further ado, I would like to leave you with this amazing session by Fernando Simon called Moving from Exadata to ExaCC, What I Have Learned. All right, let me just open the microphone right here, Fernando. This session is all yours.
So
yeah, the screen is loading. It's done. Good.
Okay. So I would like to thank again APEC for accepting my session. So I moved from Exadata to ExaCC. So what I can share with you, what I can show to you that happens to me, and maybe can be some advices for you. So, but first thing, I'm here by myself. I'm not representing my current employee or company or whatever. I'm sharing my experience. So everything that I say here is my opinion and not my employer position. So a little safe state harbor, not bad. It's just something that needs to be clarified. So I'm part of ACE program, so feel free to join, feel free to share your knowledge. The community is amazing. The community is changing, so feel free to join. The Oracle community will enjoy your experience, what you have to say. So a little agenda for today, a little about me, my experience, some small details of Exadata, and for ExaCC, and Q&A. The focus for my presentation is not talk about features or I moved using these tool. I'm trying to share my personal experience, as a DBA, what happens to me. Okay, so for me, I'm this guy. My contacts are there and will be at the bottom of my slides. My Twitter, my LinkedIn will be there. So feel free to contact me. Feel free to interact with me in my blog, whenever you want. So I'm based in Luxembourg. Okay, but before of that, I'm a DBA since 2004, working for some places in Brazil, okay, mainly for Court of Justice from 2010 to 2017. And there I learned Exadata. I started with V2, X2, X4, X5, X6, and 2 ZDL arrays. I'm contributing with the Oracle community since 2010. And in 2017, I moved to Luxembourg. And here I worked with European institutions and financial institutions. Basically the same thing that I made in Brazil, DBA, MAA, infrastructure, Exadata, ZDL array. Just to show you how Exadata can help you, I'll not put all the details, but I work in Brazil for Santa Catarina. Okay, it's a state market in head with 7 million of residents, and court of justice basically is for everything: criminal process, civil process, and so on, all judicial part. So we work with that, and more or less 13,000 employees, some 90,000 users, and everything, all digital process, 24/7, legal appeals, everything in this way. Okay, but from 2000 until 2010, we worked in non-centralized environment. This means that we had more or less 100 databases, and basically they are spread in the state. So the application was client-server application, a lot of difficulties, a lot of outages. So we are not, imagine that a city in the countryside don't have the same performance or even power stability than the capital. So we had some outages, corruptions, and so on. So in 2010 until 2014, we moved for consolidation. And this is the word for Exadata, consolidation. You can consolidate your environment. Why? Because you reduce your single point of failure. Okay, you can have a better environment. And in case of Court of Justice, we had a lot of stability, and we consolidated everything in the major city, and we passed it to a big environment, more than 60 terabytes of data. So a huge project, and this is the Exadata. This is what helped Exadata. This was my experience of Exadata, doing this migration in this environment, creating this architecture. So basically, what was the environment? So we had a bunker that we call it a bunker because was judicial process, everything is inside of the database, so we call it bunker. We had ZDL array to provide the protection. We had 2 Exadatas, one for satellite databases, another for mission critical, the Court of Justice, basically. Everything protected with ZDL array. We had a second data center with data guard. So in case of failure, you can switch to another one for the core. And the other satellite was with ZDL array, and we have a replication. And we had a third one just for dev and environment. Okay, so this is the idea of Exadata. I want to show you how this was the idea for Exadata, what Exadata can help you. So help with consolidation, help with development, provide you with a better environment. Okay, but we have the good, the bad, and the ugly part. Okay, so from Exadata perspective, just talk about Exadata On-Prem, not ExaCC. Okay, physical perspective, what is Exadata itself? I've not entered in details. We had more than 12 years in Exadata, so no, I don't want to talk about this basic part, but you are the owner of machine. You can do everything that you want. If you want to create a database with 100 CPUs, you can do that. If you want to create a storage, one single machine, one single database using the full rack, you can do that. Everything that you want to do, you can do because you are the owner of the environment. But since you are the owner of the environment, you need to take care of that. If you had a hardware error, you need to open service request. Can be done automatically, but you need to collect the logs. You need to interact with development. If you have a bug, you need to talk with them. You need to generate traces. So this can be quite a lot of work. From logical and binary perspective, since you are the owner, you can install everything that you want. You can install the Oracle Home that you want, the versions that you want. You can do everything that you want. But you need to patch. And you need to do that. And when I say patch everything. So this can be a lot of work. This can be a lot of things that can be done. Like you need to download the patch. You need to prepare the machine that you download the patch. Where you set up the files, you need to do everything. This is the bad and the ugly part. The good one, you have a good machine. But you need to take care of this machine. Okay? Just one example how you patch. So you have a lot of things you need to take care, you need to do everything and so on. So this is just one example. You need to understand how this patch manager works and so on. So it's not simple. Okay, so Exadata is all in one. Okay, you can create everything that you need. You can install your golden images, your Oracle Home with the one-off patch that you need, everything. But one thing that you need to understand when you compare with ExaCC, Cloud on Customer, you have no automation. Everything that you need to do, you can do manually. You need to do manually. There is no web interface to deploy things and so on. You need to create your scripts, create your Ansible scripts, whatever. What you use, Terraform, not Terraform, but you can to deploy environments, create databases. You need to do manually. Everything is manually. You need to create your CMDB to do that. And talking about databases, with a database, you can do what you want. You can set all the parameters that you have. You can define all the block sizes, DB blocks, char sets. You can do everything that you want. And you can create in the same machine all LTP, DSS, data warehouses, whatever. You can do what you want. So you have you can do everything. So this is the point for Exadata. You can do what you want. The machine is your machine. Your machines means with the great powers came great responsibility. So this is the idea. You need to take care of this environment. You can create what you want, but you need to take care. Okay? So, but now, Exadata Cloud on Customer, how it works. So I came for an environment on-premise that I can do everything that I want. What I can do now? What is the difference? So I can do everything. So let's see. So what you receive? So basically, you receive one Exadata, and you put inside of your data center. But this machine is part of cloud. It's part of OCI. And since it's OCI, you access with web interface. You have one region for you. This is the idea. The machine is there, and it's a leasing one. It's not yours machines. It's Oracle machine. Okay, you pay for that. You pay like a leasing contract. Okay, and you pay as you go home. If you want to allocate 10 CPUs, you pay for 10 CPUs. If you want to allocate 100 CPUs, you allocate for 100 CPUs. And you have all the features of Exadata are there. You have the smart scan, everything is there. So, and what this brings for you, what you gain? You have more automations. I will talk in details about that. You have less work to do with hardware errors. So in case of disk failure, it's Oracle responsibility to check and fix, collect logs, SANDIAG, whatever. Everything is Oracle. You just need to grant the data center access, and just that. You receive an email with information. The disk needs to be changed, and so on. But everything is Oracle that take care of that, traces and so on. So you have a more homogeneous environment because everything is more or less under control. It's not possible to install everything that you want in terms of Oracle homes. Some versions are available, others are not available. So you have more homogeneous environment. All your databases will be in a CMDB. You can see everything together and so on. Okay, so this is the basic. This is what you receive, what you gain. Okay, but for the daily uses. Okay, so basically, since it's OCI, we talk about automation. Okay, we have tools to do that. We have OCI tools, we have ExaCC tools. We have automations to do the patch, to deploy the images. We have a center management. Okay, and since it's OCI and you pay as you go, you have scaling. And you can do scaling in two terms, basically. Okay, and you can do in CPU storage, that is the basic one, the same that you made in Exadata. And recently, in November of last year, they added node subsetting. So think about, you have one full rack with 8 GB nodes. Okay, but I have a small cluster just for dev environment. And I can create this dev with this cluster with just 2. So this is node subsetting. Have some details. Even if a full machine, if you deploy just 2, you need to reserve all the IPs for the 8 nodes. This is explained when you do that. But this is the point. This is the only thing that you need to take care. Even if it's a full rack, if you deploy like that's just 2, you still need to allocate in your DNS the IPs for the 8 nodes. Because one node can be allocated in the future, so you can scale in this level. You can add a third node, a fourth node. You can do that. So you can scale in this kind of environment. Okay. So this is the daily drive. Basically, you manage with that. This is basically because everything continues the same. Inside of the database is an Exadata, like a normal one. For the ExaCC, for the administrative part, sysadmin part, is that you have more control and more homogeneous. Okay, but since we are talking about OCI, we are talking about automation, and this is automation. Okay, this is the most used feature, DBS CLI, DBS CLI, DBS API. So you control everything with this magic tool. We have commands to bounce a database, change password, configure, convert to PDB, upgrade the database. We can do everything. Create a data guard. We can reinstate. Why we use this environment? Because since it's OCI, you can do the same in the web interface. You need to register there in the center management in the OCI. So everything that you do in command line interface needs to be replicated in the center management. So everything is integrated. Okay, so let's talk about some activities and some impacts in your daily usage. Okay, patching grid infrastructure, because this is, if you patch in the grid infrastructure in the On-Prem, you understand that it's quite complex. Okay, but for the OCI, it's really easy, really easy. You can do in the web interface, in the command line interface, and you need to do just 2 steps: per check and the patch. Okay, some attentions I will explain with these details there more, but you need to take care of ACFS file system. Exadata have one ACFS file system inside to share some files between the nodes, so you need to have space there, and it's not online. You patch one node, and after you patch the second node, so you need to schedule some kind of downtime of your environment if you want to patch. Okay, and you can resume in case of failure. As example, let's do that. I open my web interface. I'm going to the Exadata Cloud on Customer. I'm select my cluster, okay? Is marked in your head, so I select my cluster number 4, is marked in the compartment that I have, because if you are rich enough, you can have 7 of Exadatas and 7 of compartments. So take care of the compartment where you are. So you go to the cluster, and you see when you enter in the cluster that you have one update available. Okay, because you are talking about the cluster, and cluster means the grid infrastructure. So after that, you see that you have your cluster. So you have one update, that is grid infrastructure. But we do that after I click, I do the pair check, and execute the pair check for me. After that, everything will be done automatically behind the scenes and so on. And after that, I apply the grid infrastructure patch. It asks me if I have that, because it says that will be unavailable for some period. And after that, it will apply. Simple like that. There is nothing to add here. 3 clicks, everything, your grid infrastructure is patched. Imagine do in the On-Prem, quite complex. But in command line, so it's the same idea. I selected the images that I have from the cluster where I'm connected. So DB SCLI, I check the central management lib list, the object type grid infrastructure. So I have the list of images of grid infrastructure that are available. After that, I just need to call the BSCLI grid patch. The example is here, and here's just the command. So basically, you just set the target and so on. Example is here. So I'm patching here. So grid patch, the BSCLI command line interface, grid patch, target, and execute the per hex. It check the per hex because you can't install. It's not possible to install without doing the per checks. And after, you just do the patch. Simple like that. And if you see the commands, it will validate, stop, start databases. You can see that stop DB instance, start database instance, do the post patch, and do this for node 1, and after the node 2. And it's not a complex thing. It's not something from another world. It's a simple patch auto that is called behind the scenes. It's not something that is difficult. Okay? Some attentions, as I told to you. So during the process, you can have some error. So it's do the backup, okay? And if you don't have space in the ACFS, here, as you can see here, I have no space left on the device. So my patch failed. So what's happened now? And if I go to the web interface, I have the same error. First thing first, always open a service request. It's an environment that you don't know what's happened, and most of time, so don't try to fix, open service request, try to do the environment. Why you need to do that? Because it's a central managed environment. Okay, so take care. So look the job, it says that failed the job. If I go to the file system, I get the status of the job. Basically, I go there, job status. It reports for me the status of error. As I know what's happened, I went to the file system. I resize the ACFS01. Okay. I try to resume, but the resume depends because it's trying to resume something that was already patched because I was in the patch in the cluster 1. So since the failure was in the cluster 2, the node 2, I resume just the second. I resume just the second node. Okay, so even if you have errors, you can resume them. You can continue with them. It's not the case that everything is automated that you can't. If you have error, everything is lost. No, you can continue, you can resume, you can do a lot of things. So this is the way that you patch your infrastructure. It's simple, no? So for DB Homes, okay? DB Homes is amazing. It's one of the best features. Why? Because you can create with simple steps one Oracle home. And with everything that we need. We don't need to download the base version, download the PSU, apply the PSU, after that apply the one-offs that we need, and after that do create the golden image, create the zip, and deploy that in the other one. No, you don't need to do that. You just do some clicks. But we have some caveats. Okay? So how you do that? Simple. You just go to the database software images in the web interface. You just go there, you click in the web interface, and you create the database software image. After that, you select the base version. You select the compartment where you want the base version. Here, we have the base version. Here and here. And after that, we select the patch that we want. All the one-offs. Everything that we need. So we put all of this list. The center management will download the patches and will generate for you one image, one golden image. And this golden image will be available for you. Simple like that. Really. It's just that. Just that. Okay? But some caveats. By default, does not come with Unify Audit. Okay? And if you have Unify Audit, you need to do manually later. Okay? You need to compile that. Okay? So, but don't worry. I already have one enhancement request for that. Don't worry. Since it's a custom image, does not appear when you do a DBSCLI database image. Does not have the list. So your custom image does not appear in there. So don't worry again. Service request and enhancement request is done. Okay. So it's easy like that. Okay. So we do that. We do this and so on. So how we deploy the image? So we need to use the web interface. So we go there, create a database home. We select create a database image. We select the database image that we want. We change that. We click in the change database image. We select Oracle provider or custom. When we select the custom, your image is there, available for you. Simple like that. And we select where you deploy, which cluster, and so on. Simple like that. There is nothing complicated with that. Everything is okay, and is that. So this is good, but I have some caveats. Okay? CPU. CPU can be scaled up and scaled down. You pay as you go. So if you have 12 CPUs, if you have a cluster with 2 nodes, 12 CPUs, each node will receive 6. So it's divided by the number of the cluster. I'll show you how this works. Most important part. Oracle provides to you the OCPU. And OCPU means one core. It's one core that is made with 2 threads. But for your system, appears as one core, one processor. Okay? So you need to take care with the parameter parallel threads per CPU, because this can be, it's not possible to set some detail, some like 2 cores, 3 cores, 5 cores. Don't change that. Be careful with that. Okay? This is really important. Okay? Because you can do a lot of mess inside of your resource manager with that. So take care. Leave as default, leave as 0, leave as 1, and so on. Okay? So How you do that? So I'm go to the infrastructure. So I have a full rack with 8 DB nodes. So when I go to my cluster, I can scale VM resources. Okay. Look, I have a VM count as 2, and I have 2 CPUs per VM. So in total, I have 4 in total. Okay. And each one receives 2 because it's divided by 2. So this value will be divided by this guy, and you have this one. Okay. The idea is that. Okay. If I increase to 2, so I have 6. So each machine will receive 3. So it will scale by this factor. And if I put 16, each machine will receive 8. Okay? This is how it works. But let's do remember some details. Okay? If you want to do a big change your environment, like deploy some images and so on, database images, install some databases, increase your CPU count. Because if your CPU count is too small, your job can be stuck. Okay, because if it's stuck, because with a lot of CPU and so on, this can have some problems, because if one job, like a major job like deploy a image, does not finish, or there's a related job can't happen, like change 1 DB from one host from one home to another home. So you can be freezy and be stuck in some long, not ending jobs. Okay, be careful with CPU count of your databases, because when you scale down, like I have 10 CPUs and I decrease to 5, CPU count will be decreased to 5. But if I increase to 10 to 20, CPU count will not follow that. So in some cases, so you need to take care of that. So be careful with that. Okay. Oracle provides you one script to do this dynamic scale. So you don't need to do this manually, and you do leave to Oracle. So you just define these are the two nodes that you go there and you understand how it works. Basically, it's really simple. You define a min and max CPU range and the threshold. Basically, it's like that. So it checks for you the average of consumption, but you need to take care of some details. So you have a cluster, okay, a rack. In the rack, you put a services to run in one node. So can occur that if you have 100% of CPU usage in one machine, the script goes there and check the average. And the average says, it's 50% because I have 100% in one machine, 0 in another machine, 50%. And my threshold is 60, so I will not increase. I will decrease. So you need to take care of this point. In the documentation, it's like that. If the load of machine goes over a max threshold, in one interval, scale up. If it's minimum, scale down. And it's like that. Simple like that. How it works behind the scenes is this. So you have this dynamic scale script. Okay. You have these parameters. I'll show you some details. Here the all CPU and interval parameters are there. This is the point of the script. So you have this one. So basically it runs as a systemd process, is a daemon that runs there, and you define your here. So in this case, it will check every 300 seconds, basically every 6 minutes, more or less. The max threshold, so if my CPU goes beyond 80% during these 6 minutes, I increase CPU. If I goes down, below of 60 for this whole period, it will decrease. The max CPU is 6, and the minimum is 4. Simple like that. How it works is like that. Okay. You can do some tunes. Okay, you can go to the dynamic scale SAMC definition, and you go there and change the intervals, and you can change the max CPU. So you go there and change the parameters inside of this file. Okay, you go there, do that, and after you just do a stop, reload the SAMC, enable, start, and so on. Basically, that you just reload the SAMC, the daemon, and everything will be there. Okay, this is how the CPU scaling works. Thresholds, you define the thresholds, and you do that. This is how it's done. Okay. Creating databases. This is the most important part, because it's why we bought the Exadata, to have databases running there. It's simple process. We have a lot of ways to do: web interface, command line interface, REST API, and even manually. Okay? So, we have a lot of buts. Okay? Here. Okay? But before, one question for the audience. Which definitions are critical to create a database? Think about that. SGA is important. What is most important to define your database? What is difficult or is more difficult to change? Okay, so some debuts are here. Okay, so it's based in one template. So this template is a general purpose template. So when you call the DBS CLI, it uses a template for you. And since it's a template for you, maybe this template is not the best for you. The point is, it's impossible to change this template. Okay? If you want to change, you need to have the same one, is tricky. But by the command line interface, it's not possible. Okay? The template have just 8K block size. If you have database different of 8K, maybe ExaCC, you can have some problems. Not for the technical part, it's just because the template. So that DB domain is impossible to change. So take care. If you have a different DB domains, it can be really tricky to work for that, because it pick up the DB domain for the compartment definition. So yes, it's quite complex to change that. DBCLI is have the more options. It always asks for password. I will show you that. REST API basically does not work. Sorry, REST API, because it's not even possible to choose the char set using REST API. So REST API at this moment is not working as it works, but you need to take care. Okay, REST API to create a database can be really difficult. Just to show you one example, I'm going to the REST API here, and REST API documentation, and we have the information here and the parameters. If you go ahead there, then it's not possible to choose the SGA. It's not possible to choose the PGA. It's not possible to choose the char set, and so on. And the response will be a char set defined, and so on. So REST API at this moment is not the best tool to create a database. The BS API is powerful, I will show you, and you can do manually. Okay, but if you do manually, your database will never appear in the OCI. Why? Because it's impossible to register the database. Exists the BS CLI registering DB, but it's for Gen 1. For Gen 2, does not work. And Oracle will not provide this for the Gen 2, at least as I know. Okay? This is the DB CLI created database I will show you, but it's just you will manage the options that you have. You have DB name, Oracle Home, DB unique name, PDB name, char set, SGA and PGA here, flash and cover area size, everything that's basically in the DBCA, you can do here, okay? Simple like that. So you create a database, DB CLI, create a database, okay? You pass the DB name, Oracle home name, database seed, char set, language, flash and cover area, size, DB char set, SGA, and so on. But there is no option to pass this. It will always ask for your sys password, okay? You need to type the password. So this can be really tricky to do that if you want to automatize, put in Ansible or whatever. So the solution is you create a file and you pass this file as a parameter. And here you put the 4 passwords for the sys and TD. They can be the same, but you need to have 4 lines with the password. And you generate for you a job. It's like that because I pass here that I not want to wait for completion, so I receive a job ID. Okay? And with this job ID, I can get the status, and I can see the database is running. I have a percentage, so you can follow that. You have the log if you want to follow the log. Everything is there. So you have a job ID and so on. This is the idea behind the scenes to create a database. Okay? How it works behind the scenes, really, is a DB CLI called in silent mode with all parameters. Is that? It's not an alien or whatever script. It's really like that. Okay? You need to take care of the B domain because the B domain will be picked up for the region. So if you change that after, I create a database and after I change, does not work, your data guard will fail. Okay? It will say that it will work, but behind the scenes, when you try to do a switch over, it will not work. So this is a point for DB domain. Okay? DBS API is the most powerful way to do that because you just define a JSON file, and is that. Okay? Simple like that, really. So you have a JSON file that is this one that is documented. Okay, these are the options that if you go to the documentation, you see just these options. Okay, but it's not just like that. You have a lot of options that are not documented. Okay, and some of them are really, really, really interesting because I can define the most important and this one. I can exclude some parameters and include one because this is a wrapper for the BCA. Okay? And remember the template that I told you before, you can change it here. So with DB as API, you can have your templates and you can use that. But attention that it will continue to use the Herman general purpose. So take care of that. It's not a custom something. It will continue to call the Herman. So you need to take care of that. Okay, so you create a JSON file like that. I define the JSON with parameters, DB name, edition, version, Oracle home that is running, SGA, PGA, and parameters. If I want to create a database with already these open cursors or this process or job queue process like that, I can do that. Not difficult. And I call just that. DB as API minus I is the input JSON file. Like that. And here you can see the output. The output will be have the description that is here. Okay. And you have the job ID. And if you have the job ID, you can follow it. So I have here one way that why is really powerful, okay? Because you can put here in the init parameters your DB domain. So when I create a database, I go to the ID of this job just to show you how it works. I go there, I pick up the status, I have the log files, I have everything that I need is there. Everything I can do, the status of the database, I put the ID, so to iStatus, so my action is the status and ID of the job is that, so I can all the information and where I find the log, where it is, okay? And if I go after the creation and so on, okay, look, I create a database that will be registered in the OCI that is different of my domain. I can create with a dedicated domain. So this is the reason of DB as API is really, really, really powerful, okay? Be careful, you need to test this. Don't go so hard with that. So don't need to change a lot of parameters, but you can do that. Okay, open a service request the parameters that you can set and so on. The documentation will be improved. Okay. Another option is DBCA. Okay, do manually. But if we do manually, we lost everything, more or less. So because our database will not be registered in the OCI, and if it's not registered, it's not possible to me go there and see DB as API, DB as CLI, move DB database upgrade. No, does not work. Your database is not in the list. When I do delete Oracle Home, Oracle will not take care if your database is running that because your database is not in the OCI. So your Oracle Home will be removed even if your database is there running because your database is not registered in the OCI. This is the point. This is you need to take care. If you want to have some kind of integration, even if you do manually, you need to follow the zero downtime migration approach that basically is create your database with DB, with web interface and whatever. After you drop your database manually, you go there rm-rf and you create your database with the same DB name. This is how it works. If you want to do that with some special parameters like block size, you want to have a 16 block size. You need to do this. You need to create a database, drop it manually, create a new one with DBCA with the same name, same DB name, with block size that you want. This is how it works now. Okay? So we talk about all the features and so on and see, but how we debug that? It's simple way that is not complicated, it's not complex, and so on. Everything is a job. Okay? Everything is a job. Really, really nice. I talked with Christian yesterday because I put this in the presentation, but I removed because the post of Christian is really nice. Take care of Oracle Inventory because if your Oracle Inventory is broken, nothing works. Even in storage increase. Okay? That's not related with Oracle Home or Grid. Even if I want to upgrade the storage or change the parameters of the storage in the Exadata, like increase one, is not possible. Okay? All the logs, all the logs will be there in the var opt Oracle logs. Okay? There are the logs called pilot, I will show you. Okay? But not be afraid because they are not trace files. Really, they are not trace files. They are just wrappers for DBCA or patch auto. So they are really human readable information. So they are really easy to go. Example. So I have my DB image in here. Okay, DB CLI DB image. So I have the log file is in that location. If I do a create database, blah, 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 at the end, I have the job status. And if I pick up the job status, I have the DBS tools log. And inside of this log, I have my log for the pilot. So everything will be there. All the logs are there in the var log, var opt Oracle logs, everything will be there. So if you have one thing, if you want to learn how it works, just go there and you see the logs, you see everything there. Okay? this is how it works. Almost finishing. So how you protect your environment with MAA? There are basically two ways to do that. You have another Exadata, ExaCC or Exadata, and you do a data guard between them. So you have 0 RPO and 0 RTO. This is the way how you protect. And you have ZDLRA. With real-time redo transport, you can have 0 RPO. You have the reference, go to the MAA, but basically is the way that you protect. Okay? So to finish, the conclusion is, it's good for automation, for daily use. It really, really helps a lot. Create a database, Oracle Homes, really simple like that. 2 clicks, 1 command, everything is there. Okay? Even the tweak commands, like increase storage for Exadata. Okay, I want to move for 20 terabytes to 40 terabytes. It's just 1 command. If I do in the On-Prem, I need to calculate how the size for each disk, do a multiplication and so on, blah, blah, blah. No, everything is there. Okay, simple, simple, simple like that. Okay, you need to check your requirements. Okay, maybe if you have a DB domain that is different, this can be a block point for you, a known goal, or something that you need to talk with development and see how it works for you. Block size don't have the same support, so Oracle will just support 8K block. 16 blocks, you need to create a database manually. So if you create manually, it will not be registered inside of OCI. So you need to take care of that if you have different block size. Okay. If you have different templates as well, it's more tricky to do. I show some slides ago how to do that, but it's really tricky. Okay. Needs some improvement. The BS API needs to improve the documentation, okay, the parameters that you can set there, and the REST API basically needs to be done again because it does not work. Basically, for create a databases in the ExaCC, does not work. So I finished my presentation. I hope you enjoy. I know that is a lot of things, a lot of information. I try to cover some technical part, not databases inside of the databases, but how for a DBA work with sysadmin part, how it works, what changed in my life, what is the good part, what are the not so good parts. So is that. I'm returning to the presentation here. So is that?
Right. Thank you so much, Fernando. Up to this point, I have not seen any questions coming through from Facebook and also here in the chat. If anyone has any questions to Fernando, please feel free to post in the chat window in your right lower corner of the screen. Or if not, if you're watching the replay or the video later, please feel free to contact Fernando directly if you don't wanna post in the chat, or you can contact me or any team member of the APACO UC. We can forward your questions to Fernando Simon. The replay in the system will be available in 24 hours, and you can watch the replays of all sessions of the conference until June 15 through the event platform. I can see someone typing. Let me see if there's any questions. Okay, Fernando, Jim is asking, what are the golden images about?
Okay, I'm returning to the presentation. Just a moment. I'm just returning to the point of the presentation. Okay, just a moment.
No problem.
One moment. I'm sharing my screen again.
Sorry.
So the point for presenting the golden images are there because you create your Oracle home with the patch that you need. So if you have a patch, if I came here, this node 555.1, I have all the recommended patches for 19C. So when I go there, I can create a database software golden image with a 19C version with all the patches that I need. So if I do like on-premises, in the on-prem, I need to download the image, download the 19.3, after apply my PSU 19.14 as example, and after apply this patch manually. Okay? This helps a lot because with just a small clicks, I can create my Oracle home. And after I create this image, okay, after I create this image, I can go there in the cluster and create an Oracle home inside of U02 app Oracle 14. Something. I can deploy this image. So I can have one central environment and all databases running the same image. I can create that. So I can create this image. And when I go to the end, so I create this Oracle home, okay? I have some name here, okay? After, when I create a database here, I define in which Oracle home it is running. So this is how the image works. I deploy the image, and with the image deployed, I can create a database inside of this Oracle home. And if I came here, sorry to return here. So I'm just returning to show you one another detail here. Here, I can come in here and do a database upgrade. So when I upgrade from one Oracle home to another Oracle home. So it's easy to deploy new images, new versions, like going to 19.14 to 19.15 and so on. So it's easy to do that. Okay, this is the point. So you provide you more, help you a lot doing that. This is the point for a golden image. So you create a golden image, and after you deploy this golden image in the VMware, in the VM, in the U02 app, and so on. This is the idea.
All right. Thank you so much, Fernando. And any other questions to Fernando? Nothing coming from Facebook streaming. Let me check here. Nothing coming right here. Well, in that case, in the meantime, Fernando, thank you so much for another great presentation. Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your knowledge and experience with the Asia Pacific and global community. And please, everyone, and take care, be safe, and hopefully we can see each other on face-to-face events more and more. And keep enjoying the conference. We will still have more sessions tomorrow and after tomorrow. All right, Fernando, looks like there's no more questions. Thank you again for your time and experience. Fernando? All right. Thank you, everyone. Please take care. Bye-bye, everyone.